What is going on, everybody? It is me again. It's HorrorFan34, and welcome to another video. Now, I apologize if I'm talking low, but it's really late at night, and I don't want to wake anybody up, so that's why I'm talking as low as I can. But I figured I'd do another top 10 video for you guys, and I figured this would be kind of an interesting top 10 to do. This is going to be on basically my top 10 favorite survival movies. Now, what I mean by survival is whether it be like people like being hunted or, being on the run or being, hunted by other people or, things like that. All 10 of these films deal with that kind of a storyline. And, figured this would be my top 10 personal favorite choices. I figured this would be a really unique list to do, and hopefully you guys enjoy my list. So let's get on to it. So just be sure here. Number 10, the original Hitcher from 1986. Excellent thriller where it's basically one guy on one, where C. Thomas Howell plays a sheriff, Jim Halsey, who picks up a hitchhiker, played by Rutger Hauer. May rest in peace, Rutger Hauer. And basically, he starts to stalk this guy. This hitchhiker starts to stalk this guy. You also have people like Jennifer Jason Leigh. You also have Jeffrey DeMunn. Very well directed by Robert Harmon, who went on to do... Robert Harmon, I think, written by Eric Red, who went on to direct Bad Moon. But excellent psychological back and forth between Rutger Hauer and C. Thomas Howell. Very creepy, a guy versus this guy here. Love the original Hitcher. Number 9, Surviving the Game. Very solid thriller, directed by Ernest Dickerson, who did Demon Knight, Bulletproof with Adam Sandler, and Bones with Snoop Dogg. And basically this is in the vein of The Most Dangerous Game, based on that storyline of The Most Dangerous Game from the 30s, where Ice-T's character plays Jack Mason, who's a homeless man who's about ready to kill himself one day because his dog gets killed, gets run over, and his best friend dies, who's another homeless guy. He's about ready to kill himself, and Charles S. Dutton plays this guy who works in the soup kitchen. He saves Ice-T's character and offers him a job as a sort of a hunting guide for a group of these hunters out in the wilderness. So Charles S. Dutton and Ice-T, they fly out there and they meet the leader of the pack, Rutger Hauer, of course. Speaking of the Hitcher, Rutger Hauer. Also, Gary Busey is part of the group. You also have F. Murray Abraham, John C. McGinley, William McNamara plays F. Murray Abraham's son. And then basically the next day, Ice-T finds out that he's the one that he's the one that's gonna be hunted down. They're gonna hunt him. So it's basically Ice-T using his wits against these group of hunters and trying to take them out one by one using his brains. And the cast does a great job in this. Like Rutger Hauer, Ice-T does a great job. Gary Busey, John C. McGinley, F. Murray Abraham, Charles S. Dutton. Love the direction by Ernest Dickerson. Very well shot. High shots of the wilderness, and I think it was in the Pacific Northwest, I believe. But if you like these kind of like thrillers, a very solid movie. Excuse me, my foot is my ankle's itchy. It's the worst time to get an itch. Oh God. Number 8. Speaking of another version of The Most Dangerous Game, sort of like plot, but Hard Target with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Another film that I love, where he's being hunted down by a group of these mercenaries headed by Lance Henriksen's character. And it's another take of like The Most Dangerous Game, sort of like in the vein of Surviving the Game. But this one is with mercenaries instead of just, being hunted in the wilderness. And Jean-Claude Van Damme does a great job, and so does Lance Henriksen. You also have Wilford Brimley, may he rest in peace, from The Thing, a lot of other movies. You also have Yancey Butler, directed by John Woo, who did Broken Arrow and Face Off, did this film. And also Hard Boiled, great movie as well with Chow Yun Fat. But definitely one of Van Damme's best films. Has a ton of great action in the film too. Number 7 is one I don't have, but I want to get at some point, and it's actually thanks to Rob, my good buddy Rob, that I've heard of this film, and I love the movie. It's called Duel, the very first film that Steven Spielberg ever directed, and it stars Dennis Weaver, who is a guy who's on his way through the desert, and he ends up encountering this trucker, and the trucker starts to stalk him and play games with him and try things like that. It's basically Jaws, but with a trucker, like a truck driver. And it was sort of the blueprint that Steven Spielberg used to do Jaws. Because if you think about it, when you compare the two films together, Jaws is with a shark, and when you look at Duel, it's Jaws the shark, but what if the shark was a truck? It's like a truck driver, like a trucker. And it works really, really well. Dennis Weaver does a good job. Very well directed by Steven Spielberg. I think it was in '71 this film came out. But I love Duel. Number 6, of course, had to mention this one because it deals with this guy being hunted down, but got to go with First Blood. Because basically Stallone is being hunted down by these people who want to kill him. And we talked about this film before. Me and the Movie Busters, me and my buddies, did the live stream on the Rambo films. But I love all the Rambo films, especially the first 4 I love. And especially like 2 and 3 are my favorites, but I would say First Blood is definitely the one I'm more about being hunted down. Like Rambo 2 and 3 is not really about that. The first Blood is more about him being hunted. It's like a one-man show and things like that, but I had to mention that one too. Number 5 is one I really want to get at some point on Blu-ray because it actually came out from Kino Lorber, and it's the first, and I just discovered the film not too long ago, and it's a really well done film. It's called Raw Courage. Now this was one in '84, and it basically deals with these 3 marathon runners, played by Ronnie Cox, Art Hindle, who was in The Brood, and he was Claire's boyfriend in the original Black Christmas, and he's been in a ton of other stuff as well. You also have, I forget the actor's name, who plays the young kid of the runners, but he was the kid in Psycho 2 who goes into the cellar and he gets killed by the killer in Psycho 2. He's one of the runners. And it's about the 3 of them going on this like 72-hour run before their big marathon. It's like a overnight thing they're going to do, and they're going to go back into town and celebrate. So they're going to run through the New Mexico desert. And while they're running out there, they end up getting captured by these like sort of like a militia group, like these crazed mercenary people, headed by M. Emmett Walsh. That's an actor you've seen in a lot of movies, whether it be Blade Runner, Critters, Narrow Margin. I mean, just look him up. He's been in a ton of movies. He's always good in everything. And it starts off as a joke, but then these mercenaries are treating this woman that works for them really horribly, and the 3 runners stand up for this woman, and that creates some turmoil, and then it starts this whole war between the runners and this militia group. It's a really well done flick. Keeps you on the edge of your seat. I'm not going to ruin too much about it, but it's a really good one, though. Number 4 is The Running Man. One of my personal favorite Arnold films. Definitely the one where he put into this game and he's being hunted down by like these people, Dynamo and Buzzsaw and Sub-Zero, and he has to fight them off in this game show called The Running Man, headed by Richard Dawson. I mean, what more can you say about The Running Man? It's a true action classic. It's definitely one of Arnold's best films. It's definitely one of my personal favorite action movies of all time. I adore this film. Very well directed by Paul Michael Glaser, and also Maria Conchita Alonso, Yaphet Kotto, may he rest in peace. Yaphet Kotto, Richard Dawson. Very well done musical score by Harold Faltermeyer. Love The Running Man. Number 3, Southern Comfort. I absolutely love this movie, Southern Comfort. Sort of in the vein of Deliverance, but I actually like this better than Deliverance. I do like Deliverance, but I like this one out of the two. Basically, the idea is directed by Walter Hill, who did 48 Hours and The Warriors. It deals with these guardsmen. Some of them are, you have Powers Booth, may he rest in peace. You also have Keith Carradine. You also have T.K. Carter, Fred Ward. They're out in the Louisiana swamps, and they end up, there's like a sort of error with these, they start a war by like a judgmental error with these local Cajuns in the Louisiana swamps, and they get chased and, you know, things like that. Sort of in the vein of like Raw Courage or Deliverance, but like kind of done in the backwoods areas. And I just love the movie Southern Comfort. Number 2, of course, Survive the Night. I talked about this film multiple times. Basically, you take Judgment Night and you take that idea, make women the leads instead of males, and you take the street gang idea, and the street gang is hunting these women down, and they're on their turf. And I talked about this film many times before. And of course, my number 1 has to be Judgment Night, because it's my favorite film of all time, and I love the whole idea of this like being set in the Chicago area at night, in the rough areas of Chicago, where these 4 friends on the way to a boxing match, and they get hunted down by Dennis Leary and his gang of folks because they witnessed the murder, and they get hunted in the city. And I've talked about the film so many times before. And so that's my top 10. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.